Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dear Future PharmD Talk Show Season 2. Today, we have two great guests coming on. First, we have Dr. Jovin Lezeau, the host of CapsuleRx Podcast. Thanks for joining us today, Dr. Lezeau.
Thank you for having me, Ryan. I greatly appreciate it.
And, it's been a pleasure to know Dr. Lezeau through his work with the CapsuleRx Podcast, and it's always good to see that how his work influences the pharmacists and students across the nation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there are even merches for a podcast, or if there's services for students who are available.
Exactly, yes. So we do have merch. You can purchase that. We'll definitely include the link in the show notes. But what I think is the most important thing that we're doing, the most impactful thing that we can do for anybody that's listening today is our services. So if you go to tinyurl.com/capsulerx services, you can sign up today. Whether it's you're interested in a residency or fellowship, it doesn't matter. Even if you're thinking about retail, if you feel like you need a CV review, if you need a letter of intent review, if you need help with a mock interview, whatever you need, we're here to help you all. If the money is a problem, please do not worry about it. Just go ahead and sign up. We'll figure something out in the future. Pay us when you get paid, and if you never do, oh well, we're not going to sue you. So it's just like we really want people to be in the positions that they care about, that they're passionate about. Because I've had too many colleagues where they felt pigeonholed into certain positions because they weren't able to prepare properly for a residency interview or for a fellowship interview, so they settled for retail or something like that. So I don't want anybody listening to this, anybody that's supporting Ryan here today, anybody that's supporting the Dear Future Farm D talk show, anybody that's a CapsuleRx podcast fan to have to go through that. So that's why we have these services and we're here to help. So definitely just go to tinyurl.com/CapsuleRx services, letter of intent reviews, mock interviews, and also, of course, any CV reviews that you need. We're here to help.
Thank you so much. And again, link will be down in the description below to click and check it out. We also have a current P2 student with us today at Western University College of Pharmacy, someone who's very active in pharmacy school social media setting as well. Marilyn, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Marilyn. I'm a P2 student at Western. Um, I have, it was a big transition, I think, from like me to pharmacy school. And so this is like my first time on a podcast. And so you guys are pros, you guys are both podcasters. So yeah, thanks for having a newbie like me on.
Yeah, I mean, Marilyn, you're also doing great things on your Instagram account showcasing your pharmacy journey, and I really do appreciate it. And we do really need more pharmacy students out there to show themselves and show about their journey. And I truly believe that's very important as well. So great. Before we get started with today's show, please give us a follow if you would like what we create. Link is down in the description for any sort of resources that we provide. Thank you both for taking the time out on your busy day today and come to our show. Let's get this started. So first off, Marilyn, I just want to get to know more about how do you first get initially interested in pharmacy overall?
Okay. So I would say since I was small, I was always interested in like science and I always wanted to be a scientist. And then you have to apply to like college. And so at 17 years old, you have to decide what your like major is. And so basically around that time, I'm like, okay, this is it. I have to choose my major and I'm sort of locked in. So what do I want to do? And, after I, did a little bit of research, I'm like, okay, so health field, I just went broad, like like biochemistry, so I would have more options. But essentially, when I was in undergrad, I learned a little bit more about like pharmacy, and then I joined the pre-pharm organization, which was a huge like help. It was a really big, I would say, like defining part of who I am now because they guided me along the way. I basically learned what pharmacists do, and heard from pharmacists and spoke to pharmacists, and basically all of this exposure, like in the world of pharmacy, made me really excited and be like, okay, and like this is really cool. This is what I want to do. And so essentially that exposure from early on in undergrad has kind of like sparked my interest and sparked my passions. And um, basically, I would attend the pre-pharmacy symposium. I'm not sure if you attended it, but yeah, it was a really cool experience. And from there, I found like my actual dream job. I'm like, okay, this hits all the marks. This is it. I want to be an ambulatory care pharmacist. And that was my junior year of I guess my third year of undergrad. And yeah, ever since then, I've just been on that path and just really excited. It could be a little bit scary to be in pharmacy school, but uh, just I guess that transition and these new experiences, it's awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. Just was wondering, do you have any like particular like experience or like a chance to get to like talk to, the representatives or any pharmacists during like the pre-pharmacy symposium that I speak about that really inspire you to say, hey, this is kind of where I wanted to go.
Yeah, I don't know who said it or what meeting I was at, but somebody was giving a talk and they were like, listen, pharmacy, you either love it or you hate it, and you won't know until you get some experience. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a job. And so I started off, so I got my PTCB certification. I, got a tech job at Walmart Pharmacy. And then I really loved it there, and I still love it there because I still work there. And ever since then, I'm like, this is awesome. I love what I do. Like, whatever it is that I do, like, you're in a doctorate program, you're spending one, a lot of money, two, it's really hard. And so, just whatever it is that you like want to do in life, I feel like you don't want to be someone that wakes up and hates their job. So, I want to be someone that wakes up and, love what they do every single day. And that's how I feel even working in community pharmacy. And so I know that community pharmacy is just like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to pharmacy. So I'm really fortunate and excited that I've been exposed to like different pathways. And so, um, I got my first exposure from the pre-pharmacy club, but then the thing that really locked it in and solidified it for me was that job experience in pharmacy.
All right, thank you so much. I just want to follow up with, Dr. Lezeau. Do you have, any story? We now kind of move on to like the pharmacy school part. Do you have any story that contained like a valuable memory that helped you as a pharmacist now during your pharmacy school journey? Um, as UF, I believe.
Yes, yes. I attended the University of Florida, where I obtained my PharmD degree at the Orlando campus. And, I was thinking about which story I wanted to go with. And I believe a lot of times people, when they tell a story, they want to tell that story of accomplishment, right? But I decided to be a little bit different and share a story of self doubt, uh, failure, however you want to describe it. But I remember vividly in my first year, I was not doing well in a course. It was law. Most people aren't the best with law. But of course, you don't know that when you're taking it, right? You go from getting these high GPAs in undergrad to now going to graduate school and expecting to duplicate the same thing, expecting to keep getting 4.0s like you did before. So going from a 4.0 student to now getting B's and C's on tests, I felt incompetent, right? I didn't feel as smart as my colleagues. And so I remember vividly, I reached out to one of my best friends who wasn't in pharmacy school. And I also reached out to someone who was in my pharmacy fraternity. And that's why I think it's always big to join a pharmacy organization or join a fraternity, because you'll probably find somebody who will eventually become a mentor for you that you can talk to about things. And I talked to both of them. They kind of basically gave me the same words of encouragement and just basically instilled in me, like, hey, it's a long journey. Okay, pharmacy school, any graduate school, any form of learning where you have to get a degree, whether it's a 2 year degree, a 4 year degree, whatever it is, it's a long journey. So you just have to continue to trust the process. Don't doubt yourself. Don't believe you're incompetent, because there could be other people struggling just like you, right? So it's just really about not quitting, not giving up, unless you know for sure this isn't for you. But I didn't feel that way. I just didn't feel I was able to I just felt I wasn't as smart as I used to be, just because I wasn't getting the same type of grades. And so it made me kind of reevaluate the way I think about things. So instead of basing yourself off of a grade, base yourself off of how much knowledge you're able to obtain, right? So there's going to be courses that are better for you. For me, don't ask me anything about retail. All right. You cannot put me in a Walgreens. I can't help you there. All right. I'm more in the hospital setting. So if you put me in a clinical setting, I'm more beneficial there. My skill set is better there. It's 1 + 1 = 2 to me. You put me in retail, 1 + 1 = 5. It makes no sense. I do not get it. So that's just something I wanted to stress and I wanted to share with everybody that during this road, during this journey, you're going to have some downs. It's not going to always be up. There's going to be highs and lows, peaks and valleys, but it's okay. All right. You'll have a mentor that you could probably reach out to. And if you don't, reach out to me, talk to me, vent to me. I was literally right before I got on this podcast. I kid you not. Somebody was venting to me for about 45 minutes. So it happens. It's life. It's challenging. So much is going on. So just don't give up. Don't beat yourself up. Okay. Be kind to yourself. Speak positive to yourself and try to have a positive mindset that you will get through this and you will, at the end of the day, graduate. And so one of the slogans we always had, I don't know if it's a good one, but one of the slogans we always had is, doesn't matter if you're a 4.0, 3.0, or 2.5. At the end of the day, if you graduate with a PharmD degree, you're a pharmacist. Once you graduate, nobody cares about your GPA anymore. So it's just really getting through the journey and being able to accomplish it.
Okay, thank you. Marilyn, I just want to get to what Dr. Lezeau spoke about, you know, during school, right? Do you have ever experienced some sort of any like struggle so far, or like, or maybe with your current involvement with at Western U, was there any particular story that really shaped your experience in pharmacy so far? It could be good or it could be bad. You know, we just want to make like you be like as honest as possible. Speak about like what you feel like during your current pharmacy school journey.
Yeah, so just to add on to what Dr. Lezeau was saying, I feel like in a graduate program, I think there's a lot of imposter syndrome going around. So you could have like a lot of self-doubt, do I deserve to be here? Why am I here? And sometimes those like negative, maybe like feelings or emotions can take over. But I think just like he was saying, if you have like a strong support system, people that are there for you, people that can relate to you, I think it makes the journey like a lot more enjoyable. And there's definitely a lot of camaraderie to people that can relate to like what you're feeling or what you're doing or what you're going through. And so um, I know I hear people say, "Oh, I want to give up. I want to drop out. I want to, just be done." But at the end of the day, if this is, what you want to do and this is what you're passionate about, at the end of the day, you just want to be able to be a good pharmacist. And so maybe some people aren't good test takers, that doesn't mean that you don't know your clinical skills. You could just have like that testing anxiety or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we're all here to be practitioners. We're all here to help our community, impact the lives of people and their health. And so um, if you keep that reason, like why you came in here, why you started in the first place, I think that's gonna really gonna be like for me at least. Sometimes when I feel down or upset or like I'm not good enough, I just remind myself, listen, I'm here to be a pharmacist, to fulfill my dreams, and I'm here to treat people and help them make their lives better. And so at the end of the day, uh, I just remind myself of why I'm here and that I do deserve to be here. Um, and it helps. It helps to get by those negative feelings of like imposter syndrome. Or
Yeah, it is like it's all worth it, right? Ultimately, your goal, will be reached, and it's definitely like one heck of a journey. So moving on, I just want to ask you, Dr. Lezeau, how did your experience as a resident, moving on from pharmacy school, at the hospital shape your career, or is there anything that really helped you solidify your interest in clinical pharmacy?
Yes. So as far as s making my interest in clinical pharmacy like finite, I would say that was rotations. My rotational experiences definitely assisted with that in year four. And I absolutely loved my ambulatory care rotation the most. So I was fortunate enough to do a ambulatory care focused residency. So typically you do AM care after you do a general practice PGY1, and then you do an AM care PGY2, which is more of a focused type of residency. But I had the pleasure of actually being able to do it more in year one. but I was also cross trained on the inpatient side, so more of central staffing and decentralized positions. So really a lot of internal medicine. I also had the opportunity to have a rotation in the ICU, so get a lot of broad experience to kind of be as flexible as possible because at this time pharmacy is in an interesting transition to where I'm starting to notice more and more hospitals and more positions are less solidified and more flexible positions. It's like if you play fantasy football, they want like a flex player. Okay. They want somebody that can rotate in the ED and maybe go to the ICU and also be able to be on an internal medicine floor or also be able to go do some staffing. Okay. So, really having that flexibility, that's a key strength that you could always bring to any um, healthcare institution that you want to work for. And so I viewed this pretty strategic and I wanted to be a part of something I was passionate about, which was AmCare, and then also be able to have the ability to be cross trained in other areas because I know where the pharmacy is kind of headed. So to be able to have that flexibility and that has definitely been beneficial in everything I'm trying to do now, whether it's through the podcast or searching for job opportunities. I'm more of a desirable candidate because I've had such a diverse amount of experiences.
Yeah. Would you also like to speak a little bit about your, your, I guess, your work as an ambulatory care pharmacist? And is there any like interesting like patient interactions in general that you have experienced?
Yes. So with AmCare, there's a lot of different fields that exist. So where I'm located at, it's mainly we have a Coumadin clinic, a diabetes clinic, and a transitions of care. I would say those are our main three clinics. And when it comes to one of my favorite things is transitions of care because you really have the opportunity to optimize a lot of therapy. When it comes to Coumadin clinic, it's really just one drug, which is warfarin, that you kind of get to change, which impacts the patient's INR. For anybody that doesn't know, that's a blood thinner. So that's not what I find very fun. I find diabetes and transitions of care a lot more fun. So one of my experiences when I was in the diabetes clinic, my first patient. So thankfully, I did well with my first patient. I'll never forget it. She knew she was a diabetic, but she never took care of herself. And so she went through some issues, some complications, and we kind of grew over the time of me managing her diabetes. I only managed her for about 3 months, but I was really able to lower her A1C from about, I believe it was 11.7 to 6.7. Or 5.7. I think it was a drop of 6%. So there was like a 6% drop in her A1C when she was with me after 3 months. And she just one of the things was she was one of those people that would always call any little thing that goes wrong or oh my gosh, I ate this, I shouldn't have ate the slice of pizza, I feel like my blood sugar is. She was just very anxious and very concerned about her health care. And I know one of the things that she just mentioned to me at the end of our tenure together, she was just saying how thankful she was that I never made her feel dumb for asking all these questions or always trying to call and get in touch with me or being so available. And I think that's one of the things that's so impactful about being a pharmacist is that we're probably the most accessible healthcare professionals. And so being accessible, you have to take this as a badge of honor and you always got to try to do the best that you can for patients, even if you're not in the mood, even if they can be a little bit annoying because they're people, right? And you're a person too. But she just how thankful she was just like made my whole year made my whole year as a resident. No matter how much work you have to go through, because trust me, it is a lot of work. It's tough, it's not easy, but she was just so thankful to get her A1C controlled and to get her health back in order and to have a longer future with her family. So just being able to see that and hear it in her voice, and she cried to me a couple times over the phone and different things like that. So that was probably my most memorable experience that I had as a resident, and it felt good too, being my first patient that was like mine in the diabetes clinic. So that was pretty awesome to have.
Yeah, that does sounds pretty impactful. Marilyn, do you have any sort of experience like that? Or I know you're still a P2, but like do you have like it doesn't need to be M care, but like do you have a particularly memorable patient experience that you have during your work or rotation?
Yeah, I would say that I've had a couple of pretty cool experiences that I've done, either through my job or at my like rotation site. Um, I would say that at my job, so at Walmart, I had a patient who, you know, you asked them, "Hey, what are you taking this medication for? Like, do you know what you're taking this medication for?" And sometimes when you talk to patients, it's kind of like an interview. I think that's what I also like about AmCare because you're kind of like a problem solver trying to get to like what the issue, like what the underlying issue is. Uh, and you get a lot of that in the community setting as well. But on all sorts of meds, not feeling well, and so we kind of between myself and the pharmacist, we kind of look over like, hey, like, what are you taking? What are you taking it for? Like, what's going on? And it sometimes it can be. It was disheartening to see that taking 6+ medications probably has no clue. She had no clue what she was taking them for. I don't know. I would just prescribe them. I just take them. And so being able to provide some education in like a non-judgmental and like a welcoming way, I think I've really improved on like my communication skills when it comes to speaking to patients because you want to have like a welcoming environment. You want to have a no judgment environment. You want to have like a good rapport with patients. And I think by um, asking like important questions for like the long term. These are like our returning patients. Then, you get to talk about them, talk about their family. Sometimes some people just want to come to talk, and that can be pretty special. Like, they're a patient, but you build this like relationship and this trust, and just like those experiences that you get with people and the little wins that you make by helping people. I think I've seen a lot of that in the community. I would say that also I did my IPI rotation. So the IPI is like the introductory practice experience, and mine was at a 24-hour hospital because it's still like the outpatient setting. Uh, and I just the things that I was able to catch before it made it to the patient, like prescribing errors, things like that. Uh, those are pretty cool, especially to make as like a first year student. I'm like, hey, I caught that, that was cool. And so during my rotation, I had a couple of those, and I'm like, oh, geez, imagine it made it out to the patient. That's what the pharmacist is there for. That's what the pharmacy is there for, to make sure that they go home, safe. Uh, Everything's gonna like work well for them, and not and just be like the verified fact checker, as like a pharmacist. So I think the attention to detail that we pay is also I don't know, it's pretty cool 'cause you get to like make sure people are safe and just yeah. So those have been some cool experiences for me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just want
Oh,
to add
go
on.
ahead.
You get to be a detective a lot sometimes
Yeah.
in retail and AmCare. So if you like detective work, that might be a good career for you in pharmacy.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Moving on. We are gonna cover a little bit about social media. And Dr. Zoe, I'm going to ask you, how did the CapsuleRx podcast got started, and how do you first get involved? And any favorite memory working as part of the podcast?
That is a loaded question, but I will try to keep it as short as possible. So, Capsule Arts Podcast. However, let me start with how I joined because originally it was not Capsule Arts Podcast. I believe it was just Capsule Podcast, if I'm not blanking. And I was brought in by the original owner of the podcast, and it was something that he created, and his idea was to kind of pass it on each couple of years to a new pharmacy student at UF. So kind of like a UF owned pharmacy podcast. And I kind of just joined the team because I was afraid of public speaking. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to kind of get out of that fear and kind of help me want to also, now that I got out of that fear of public speaking, I can go and try to get some leadership positions, right? Because sometimes you have to give a speech. So I was kind of doing that strategically to kind of work on my communication skills and get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And he was more than willing to have me come on. And I kind of just got involved with some of the audio editing with the podcast. And then eventually it got to, hey, I'm so busy on rotations. Can you start interviewing? And I started doing that. And that made me get a LinkedIn because I had to connect with pharmacists. I got to find pharmacists to interview, right? So it just really helped me start building a social media presence and doing different things. And then I tried to pass it on to some of the people that were part of the team who were in their P1 and P2 year, but they had no interest of really carrying the banner. They're like, hey, like I just want to help, but I don't want to be like the forefront of the podcast. So talked to the original owner of it, and we kind of just agreed to terms to kind of hand over the podcast to me. And then I rebranded it this past year. So this was in 2022, December 2022. I rebranded it to CapsuleRx Podcast. And so 2023 is the first year of CapsuleRx Podcast. And really what we're trying to do is just create content to really expose the different careers within pharmacy. I think that's one of the biggest things that holds a lot of us back is if we don't know something exists, we can't pursue it. So there's a lot of awesome fields within pharmacy, and I want every listener to know about it, whether they're a student, a pharmacist, a resident, fellow, doesn't matter. I want you to hear about all these incredible different careers. And then one of the problems is, hey, I don't know about a career, or I don't know somebody who works in it that I want to talk to. Well, guess what? I just created that avenue for you, right? I'm interviewing these people. They always leave a point of contact. So you can always get in touch with them, kind of pick their brain about things if they're in a career that you're interested in. And so that's something that I think is super powerful. And then it also helps with networking and kind of getting to know different careers and different things that are out there that I definitely didn't know. And so that's kind of how I got involved with the podcast, and it just continues to grow, and it turned into a lot more things than it was supposed to turn into, having merch and having services and trying to help people the best we can. But the last thing that you asked was, something memorable from it, and I've been doing it for so long, since 2018. So it's hard to think of the most memorable experience, but what I would say is the coolest thing about the podcast is that it's like something you envision and actually seeing it happening is like the coolest thing. And it also feels weird because it doesn't feel real. For example, like I just interviewed a CEO of a pharmaceutical company. I have no business talking to a CEO of a pharmaceutical company, but I have a podcast and I have a platform, and he wanted to spread his message to our audience. And it's like, I've always wanted to meet CEOs. I've always wanted to meet, these millionaires and billionaires and all these people and just have conversations with them and just pick their brain. Like, how'd you get there? What'd you do? All those things. I'm like, just really inquire about their path, their process, who they are as a person and all these things. And it's like, I finally had the opportunity. It just so happened, and it's a surreal moment. So I would say that's probably the most memorable experience. And if you ask me a year from now, it might be something else because we just keep growing and so many different and cool things are happening. So that's one. And then I'll say one more thing too, because I got an incredible text from one of the people we helped with our services, and she was amazing, and she was just so thankful and so happy that she was able to match phase one because she didn't think she was capable of it. She didn't trust her gut and her intelligence, but she was super smart. I'm so proud of her, and I know she's killing it right now in residency. So I would say those two are probably my most memorable experiences right now.
Yeah, it's all about the initiative and how,
Yeah,
you can get the opportunity to meet so much great people. That's kind of how I felt when I
yeah,
first
yeah.
started this.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marilyn, falling back to you. I know you're quite active on the social media end of things. Any maybe future goals or thing you'd like to do more, or want to continue to do, just to show out, your brightness, your future as a potential as a pharmacist. And yeah, maybe any plans in the future?
Um, I feel like I, started off by making like infographics, kind of like giving like resources and explaining things to like people that are primarily like pre-farm based because that's kind of how it started for me. I had great mentors because I don't know anybody in pharmacy, and just to be able to have like mentors and guidance and people pushing you in the right direction, that's kind of what I wanted my like the reason I kind of got into like the social media aspect. But I would say I think I have maybe strayed a little bit away from that. I mean, I answer like a lot of messages and try to help out like where I can, but I think I've been kind of posting my experiences, which in a way just provides some insight, but maybe doing structured posts that kind of give like definitions and resources and how to do things, where to find things. Uh, for example, I have another job at Kaiser, and it's with their drug use management and drug education, and it's a pretty interesting job. It's different. I even still, whenever people ask me like what do you do there, I still have trouble describing what it is that I do because it's a little bit, yeah, it's different. Something that when I started working, I didn't even know that pharmacists were like in this kind of field, and so I think maybe like bringing some education to like what is also out there in pharmacy, because as a pre-pharm student, even now as a pharmacy student, I find that like really beneficial just to kind of like keep your doors open and just listen to like what's out there, because you don't know if you like something if you don't know it exists, kind of like Dr. Lezeau was saying, or I'm sorry, Lezeau was saying. But yeah, I think that's what I would like to maybe steer my page back to, just giving more resources and helping out a lot of pre-farm students.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I appreciate all you guys, do for, helping out, students out there and continuing your mission. And I hope you guys, good luck to whatever you guys develop in the future. And we're sure that we will meet in the future again for future opportunities. So, to conclude our episode today, any words of advice for pharmacy students who are watching? Dr. Lozo, you can start first.
All right. So I'm going to give you the 5-step process to being a successful pharmacy student. The first thing you're going to do is join student organizations. All right. You're going to join at least 2, and it could be APHA, it could be whatever it is. You just got to get out there. You got to do different things, right? You got to try some things. So I want you to join different organizations, one that you're really passionate about, and maybe one that's just different, a little unique. Might have a little intrigue into it, might not, but definitely explore it. Number 2, definitely get 2 leadership positions. I always tell people you're going to need those leadership positions to help you secure a job in the future. So those leadership positions are going to help to test everything that's not on the CV, everything that's not the grade, basically. Okay. So what I want you to do is find one that's a longitudinal one. Okay. One that's you're doing something all throughout the year, and one that's more seasonal. One that's like, all right, you have this one event and that's it. So you can still focus on school and get great grades, but also be able to be involved and have some experiences that you can attest to. So whether one of them is like a president of one organization, and then maybe you're just more of a e-board member on another organization. So that's number 2. Number 3, definitely try to get involved in a pharmacy fraternity. I'm a big proponent of them. The mentorship there is incredible. I don't care which one you join the one that feels right for you. And I guarantee you'll find somebody in that fraternity that could be a great mentor and help you along that path, and still some positivity and different things like that in you, so that way you feel like you're worthy and you're not suffering from that imposter syndrome we kind of talked about earlier. And then number 4, what I would say is definitely, if you can get a research internship, it'll help go a long way no matter what career path you're interested in pharmacy. It always helps. And last but not least, number 5, listen to CapsuleRx Podcast. We're here to help. Anything we can do, trust me, I'm sure we got an episode that will help you guys during your journey. So that's the 5-step process to being successful as a pharmacy student.
All right, Marilyn, do you have anything to add on?
Yeah, I would say pharmacy school can be tough. I would try to find a mentor maybe that speaks to you. So whether that be like an upper class student, or it be a pharmacist maybe that you work with, or it could be like a faculty member that you really appreciate like their advice and what they have to say. Because I think insight from other people can be very beneficial, especially when you are like starting out, don't really know like what direction you want to head towards. So that would be my first piece of advice, and then my second piece of advice would be also to get involved. So I feel like for myself, I've had like a lot of opportunities open for me because I just try to get as involved as I can, being in different organizations, and I think job experience is really important. I think sometimes that gets overlooked. But as I continue through pharmacy school, I find that the things that I encounter in my job have either been touched upon, or I see it at work first and then I see it at school, or vice versa. And so just to get that reinforcement of concepts that you're learning in school, outside of school, I think it's been really beneficial for me, and it's helped solidify concepts in my head in terms of like academics.
Thank you so much. And for that, thank you, Dr. Lezeau and Marilyn, today to have this conversation with me. As always, hit the like if you enjoy it and share this with all your peers. Click the subscribe and the notification bell button for our latest content. Go give a follow on our social media as well as our guests' or respective social media. That will be down in the link below. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you in future seasons. Sorry, we'll see you next time for the Dear Farm Shield Farm Detox Show. Thank you.